Finally, we started our social design road trip. Building bridges, humanity. We arrived in Hamburg during the night, crossing the famous harbour, and reached our hotel. Now we will meet Claudia Banz and Daniel Kerber to get the first idea of what social design is all about.
We are in Hamburg in the Museum for Kunst und Gewerbe, and I'm the head of the design department. I really dedicated one room of this permanent exhibition to the notion of sustainability. And within this room, I also put one focus on social design, because this is what really interests me when we are talking about design. Like 7 or 8 years before, I was invited from a Dutch colleague to do an exhibition on social design. I thought, Jesus Christ, but what is it? And then I started to look back in the history of design, and when you look at the very beginning, design is closely connected to the notion of solving problems, of finding solutions. So this is, in fact, the core meaning of design. So I would say social design, as we call it today, brings design back to its core meaning, to find solutions for problems in a society. And it's not only about products, but it's also about processes, so what we today call design thinking.
I think a specific mindset in myself always stayed the same, to explore the unexplored. So why is the world like it is, and how can we change it? This was always intriguing. What are the tools that we need to invent to change the world, and how can this become reality? I think those are the main maybe questions that I try to answer in different career paths or in different whatever connotations. Like, I was an artist, then I went into architecture and design, now I'm a social designer or a social entrepreneur. But I think those are only layers that are stuck on me from the outside. But from the inside, there's still coming just this drive to understand how can we, with creativity, change the world maybe, or get a good impact on our living environments.
There were architects, there were artisans, and they all came together and they think, oh, we have a big problem, and we have to find solutions how to solve this. And at this time, they were not yet talking about design, but they said, we have to find solutions how we can bring art and technique together.
Well, Modern Shelters is then the culmination point or the professionalization point of all my experience I have gained in 10 years. So at a specific point in my life, I said, okay, now I need to build a professional structure. And I decided to create a social business around the topics of how can innovation be made with people in vulnerable communities or in refugee camps or slums. We invented, let's say, 3 components that are very important. One is we deliver product design for those areas, and product design that is always open to co-creation processes on the ground. For example, we built a shelter solution, but it's not one solution for all. It's not a one-size-fits-all model. It's a construction kit that we can bring there that can then unfold its potential by including the inhabitants, because they are the specialists. They know exactly how they want their space to be. So many aspects of the final design are being made by the people. And this is so the second stream, which we call social design. It's the process on the ground to transform a product or an idea into a co-creation. And then there's a third component that we target. It's again a larger scope, because the product plus the social design component, let's say on a family base, is embedded in a larger environment. So there are always external conditions like political conditions, climate conditions. There are complex layers of influences between, let's say, more coming from urban planning. So this is this third component, which we call ecosystem design. So all these three aspects, they work together in a kind of holistic approach to design those living environments and to create them in a way that they're really adapted to the actual needs on the ground, and not only coming here from, let's say, our blank tables in some office.
There were also first ideas of what we call today social design. So it's always coming back, I would say, in times of crisis, that you think, oh, now we have to be super social and we have to think if the society and the politicians and the financial world is not providing us the network we need to feel good, to feel healthy, to feel confidential. We have to create it on our own.
So we started in 2012. We were a very small team of enthusiasts, not earning anything with it. So we started to invent, let's say, the structural components, like the construction kit. This is how I name it. It's not a tent, it's really like a construction kit, like a Lego system or whatever. So we started designing that, always in the loop with projects on the ground, with other experts, with researchers, NGO staff, whomever we could grab, we just invited them. The cultural aspects, the regional aspects, they are of ultimate importance because they guarantee the success rate. If you don't consider them, you have a real problem, I think. If I look at a refugee camp today, it's not there for 6 weeks or 6 months. The average is 20 years. So if you don't take into consideration what those people bring in terms of culture, in terms of moral or ethical rules, in terms of religion, in whatever aspect you name it, you will create spaces that are really miserable and that oppress people and that really go into depression and a very bad life cycle. So if you turn that around and ask the people first and understand the people first and listen to those people and also study maybe the available information about these societies, this culture, then you can find a much better process, and then the success rates get higher, the costs are get reduced. So it's a win-win for everybody. So I don't see why, anyway, there has been another process before. So this is maybe the artist again. We just can't understand that things happen the way they are happening right now. So why don't we reverse things? Why don't we change them? What I want to explain that, of course, every human being has, let's say, the same need. It needs a shelter. We all need some place to stay, to live, to get protection. But then the form of what this shelter takes or what your living environment looks like is different in every area of the world. So you need to find a cultural dialogue. I think what drives me is to understand the world, to understand people, why they act like this, how they act like this, how societies function, how societies build things, how the structural world influences our mental world. All these questions are always intriguing to me, and I think what I can bring is maybe a humble approach to say, okay, first listen, then act. And it's very simple, it's not rocket science. So what do? You start a dialogue, you start listening. I don't have any answer. This is maybe the first imperative, It's always to say, okay, I don't know anything. It's always starting from scratch. But of course I have some things in my backpack. I can then explore later once I know, okay, this is needed or this is what I can give, what I can bring. And the other person also has something in his backpack. So let's put it on the table, try to find the right balance, try to find the right tool set, and then we can create something. I think this is maybe my expression of what I try to do, and of course then there are academic expressions and whatever, but as a person I think I was always intrigued to go outside, to travel, to see other places. This is a little planet that we are living on. Nobody makes borders except we are doing it in our mind. So kind of we are all living in the same space, but we are also different. So what is the same and what is the different? And how can we handle this? And how can we balance this? And how can we dialogue about this? I think this is a challenge we all have to face to really solve the most crucial issues that we have.
I mean, that's the good thing about this network of social design, that all the people who have similar ideas in mind, they come together. And I think only when more and more people come together, we can create a force. And maybe then change something would be great.
So those are still, let's say, informally made structures with material that the people brought or found or purchased. We're going to change the whole display of this exhibition over time, depending on the new projects that we are implementing on the ground. So the next series will be about the camp in Jordan, where you can also see that, let's say, the standard tent that is now provided was instantly reused in an informal process. So people cut them open, they put two together or three or four. So it's a whole different setting than the one that was planned, which is normally really like a military grid. So those people, they don't want to live in a military grid. So they changed it instantly and they dismantled wash locks where they had provided toilets in a row. They didn't want to go there, of course. Not in that culture. As it's a permanent exhibition, we still have a little bit of time to explore, let's say, the potential of this setting. Yeah.
Nice. So thanks.
Well, thank you
for having us and showing us the project. It's really interesting.
Thank you.
So we can have a look.
For your film.
Thank you.